Look, the mass market certainly is very price sensitive, and as I was saying, there are discussions about whether this is going to push travel up, and going to become something only for the wealthy. But every crisis we've had in the past, we do eventually get over it. That whether it's been terrorism crises or other, in the UK there was the mad cow disease thing. How many years ago is that now? We've totally forgotten about it, but it shut down a lot of rural tourism in the UK. And I think people will come out of it, but I don't think it's going to be the same sort of travel that we had before. We're going to be looking at it in a very different fashion.
Tony, on the channel we've been talking about the rescue of a number of different airlines across Europe, from Lufthansa to Air France, KLM, the sort of government bailouts that have come into the mix. The hotels group seems to be a little bit more resilient, but travel and tourism has a whole bunch of small businesses, family businesses that rely on the overall sector performance. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think there's enough assistance for many of these small businesses?
I think there's going to be a lot of local tourism coming back before anything else. The idea of staycations and driving holidays rather than flying places. The intercontinental travel, I think, is certainly cut off for quite a long phase. Yeah, it's going to be difficult, and I really feel for people in countries where tourism is a large part of the business. It's one thing if you're in a country where a lot of tourism is domestic, and that, of course, is the situation throughout Europe. So much of tourism in Europe is local and domestic tourism. But if you're looking at countries in Asia, I think about Nepal, where people go trekking and they're international visitors. People on safari in Africa, they're international visitors. And that tourism really at the moment is totally dead.
What do you make of some of the initiatives to tackle consumption taxes? Clearly, since the last financial crisis, it's been a good way for governments to claw back some revenue that is needed to pay down debts. But in this crisis, we're seeing large-scale job losses, at least short-term, and particular industries in the consumption side that have been hard hit because of social distancing. Is it right to rake back over VAT or other consumption taxes?
I think that for a while, governments are just going to have to suffer. That they're going to have to accept that they've got large deficits and, hope that things do turn around and things get better in the years to come. But I think for a couple of years, governments are going to have very large deficits to worry themselves about.
Tony, I want to ask you specifically about the cruise ship industry, because at the start of this crisis, we saw the spread of COVID-19 on some of these cruise ships, and some of them were in fact blamed for outbreaks in various countries. What do you make of the fortunes of this sector? Because it feels as though you'd have to be fairly brave to book a seat or a passage on one of these cruise ships in future.
Yeah, I must admit, I'm not a cruise ship enthusiast. There are places in the world where if you want to go there, I think of Antarctica or the Arctic, and small cruise ships operate there and operate successfully, although they were also hit by the pandemic. I think the large cruise ships are going to have a great deal of difficulty getting their business back. And there's also been a dark side to the cruise business. And I think there's going to be a lot of people saying, well, if cruise ships want to come back and want to be operating, they're going to have to be a little more socially conscious and thinking about the wider world, just on how they can keep their costs down and pack the people in.